Thanks for watching. I'm Margot Kinberg, and this is In the Spotlight, a closer look at a crime novel. Edgar Allan Poe is considered to be the originator of the detective story, and yet, oddly enough, in the over 11 years I've been doing In the Spotlight, I haven't spotlighted any of his work. Well, we're going to remedy that today. And we're going to turn the spotlight on arguably the first detective story, Edgar Allan Poe's The Murders in the Rue Morgue. The story is told by an unnamed narrator who meets a young man named Auguste Dupin in a Paris bookshop. They meet again in another bookshop and before long become friends. In fact, the narrator invites Dupin to share his home. As their friendship develops, the narrator becomes especially fascinated by Dupin's way of reasoning and thinking and deducing. The skill is put to the test when an old woman and her daughter are found murdered in a house in the Rue Morgue, and the daughter's body is stuffed up the chimney. Eyewitness accounts vary, but they all seem to agree that there were two voices around the time of the murder. One was speaking in French, the other, higher voice, was hard to understand and a language harder to identify. The police don't have much evidence to go on since no one saw anyone enter or leave the house, and the room where the bodies were found contained only the two bodies, and the windows shut. The two victims didn't have any enemies or large fortunes to leave either, so the case isn't moving along very quickly. Still, the police settle on a man they think may be responsible. The case is what seems to be an impenetrable mystery, but Dupin is convinced there are answers and persuades his housemate to go along with him to look at it. Dupin reads the eyewitness accounts and looks carefully at the crime scene. Then he begins making deductions from what he's seen and read and heard. He follows up on those deductions and is able to find out what happened to the two victims, and he identifies the killer. As it turns out, it's not a solution that the police had considered, but Dupin's reasoning leads him to the truth. So what are the elements in this story? What is it that sparked the detective story and where we can see elements of today's detective story? Well, there's a lot of emphasis on Dupin's way of getting at the truth. Towards the end of the story, he explains step by step how he worked out what happened. He doesn't use science really the way that Arthur Conan Doyle or Sherlock Holmes does, but he also doesn't come up with a solution magically. By today's standards, his way of solving the case probably wouldn't be satisfactory, but at that time, this sort of logic was innovative. And the detective as the main character was innovative. The police don't come off particularly well in the story. Dupin says this of them: the Paris police work hard and often get good results, but there is no real method in what they do. He doesn't consider them to be stupid, but they don't use logic properly to solve crimes. Dupin himself is one of what's often called a gentleman detective. Detection is not his profession, but it is his interest. He solves mysteries because they intrigue him, and he's curious about them, and in this case, he believes that the man the police accuse is innocent. He wants that man's name cleared. The mystery itself, who killed the victims and why, might not hold up to contemporary standards for realistic crime fictional murders. But Dupin's deductions lead to the right result, and he does use some evidence to support his theory, as modern detective stories do. The Murders in the Rue Morgue helped lay the foundation for today's crime fiction. It's arguably the first detective story and features several of the characteristics we still see in crime stories: an unexplained murder, eyewitness accounts that vary, the desire to clear an innocent person's name, and more. This has been In the Spotlight. I'm Margot Kinberg. Thanks for watching.